What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage, and we are back today to unpack the Red Letter Day event, specifically featuring Black Knight's unlock for the majority of the community. Now, how difficult is this event going to be? What will you need to be doing in terms of the power core usage and understanding how you're going to be maximizing shards? We're going to be going through each and every one of those details, so that way you guys have a proper game plan and exactly know what you're going to be doing for this event. So especially given how they plan these events and the different components, I'm going to be making it and simplifying it for you guys. So first and foremost, just as a great overview here, if you scroll down, and again, this is available on the MarvelStrikeForce.com website, guys, the latest blog post. The S.W.O.R.D satellite mode is very similar kind of to the Avengers Tower that we saw, right? It's going to require you to battle through 40 floors of foes. This is actually going to add some milestone points component to the main event. And unfortunately with this one, the caveat is that you do need to use characters that are at least 5 yellow stars. So I think this is probably going to be the biggest bottleneck for the majority of folks, is that many of the end game players already have many of their characters maximized at 5 stars and beyond. So obviously at the end of the day, it's going to be that kind of restriction here and bottleneck for folks that are in the mid game transitioning to the end game that may not be able to do all the floors because they may not have all the characters. Now, having said that, you can utilize the teams once per day, so you can still definitely push through if you have a very powerful greater than 5 stars team, but keep in mind you can only use them once and then the next day resets. Losing a battle also does push you down lower floors, so you just want to be mindful of how you're doing that, but thankfully you can't back out without penalty. Now, the majority of the points actually earned for the Red Letter Day event, which I'll show you later on in the breakdown, is that it's going to be coming from a 1-to-1 point conversion from these cold-blooded orb fragments. You want to be earning as much of these as you can, as that's going to push your milestone points higher and higher, and it's also going to be a source of additional Black Knight shards. Each orb also has a chance to drop up to 10 shards. So I mean, even if you don't get a lot of orbs, if you have some decent RNG, this is actually a pretty free-to-play friendly event if you just maximize the number of orbs and get lucky. But we want to eliminate some of the luck, right? We want to maximize as much points as we can get, as that's going to give us an opportunity to get the actual guaranteed Black Knight shards, which I'll show you also in the milestone. But yeah, those are the different components, guys. We're going to be doing a S.W.O.R.D satellite that's going to award you milestones. Those milestones are also going to have cold-blooded orb fragments, which will add up. There's also a blitz event for 1 day, actually. It's going to be the tiebreaker essentially here, and it's only happening for the 1 day. So definitely another piece of the pie here that we need to be mindful of. And then lastly, there's also a spending of campaign in the incursion campaign, which is also going to give you additional fragments, all tied back together to the main event chart. So probably easier if I just show you the event chart, so that way you guys can see what exactly you're doing here. This is the full event chart here, the main one that you'll be tracking for the 7 days that this event is live for, right? And as you can see to the right, there are some Black Knight shards. In total, there's about 70 shards, but also be mindful of the tulip bouquet in the middle here, just because of the fact that this is a featured monthly item that's going to add points to the monthly milestone as well. So don't lose sight of the big picture. That's also important. Now, that means most folks are going to be able to hit this tulip bouquet, which actually includes up to the 15 Black Knight shards that we see to the right, which leaves another 10, 15, so that's 25, another 30 in that last one. So there's a good hefty amount of Black Knight shards available at the very end. How free to play friendly is it? And that total that you do need to hit all the Black Knight shards is at 97,500 points, milestone 18. It is kind of a dolphin / whalestone, and I'm going to break that down in the math later, but it's pretty difficult to achieve even if you're able to maximize the majority of the different milestones that we're going to be going through. So just something to be mindful of. What is going to be realistic is the milestone 16, which is right here, right? It's going to at least give you an opportunity here to capture the 40 Black Knight shards, and then we can ultimately get his unlock through the opening of the orbs with that chance of, again, to get the 10 shards of Black Knight. There's also a leaderboard chart that's tied back to the Red Letter Day. So opportunity here to get a diamond of Black Knight, but obviously the majority of the community, it's not going to have an opportunity. Most of us don't even have Black Knight at 7 stars, so that's just going to be a little nice incentive for the whales out there. But something else to be mindful of, guys, this is the S.W.O.R.D satellite breakdown here of all the different floors and how many of these cold-blooded orb fragments that you are going to be getting, right? So obviously this is going to be a big component. If you're able to hit milestone 38 at the very bottom here, that's the last milestone that contains cold-blooded orb fragments. There's a total here of 18,000, and I just want to point out the fact that it's 18,000 at milestone, at the second last milestone, or if you stop on floor 33, it still gives you 16,000. So I think that's going to be a very free to play friendly target. I personally did not hit floor 38 last time in my S.W.O.R.D, my Sword satellite running. I think I stopped around 34 or 35. So it's good to see that the difference between the 5 floors honestly isn't that big. It's really just the difference that's made up in gold here that you'll be earning. So thankfully, if you can hit floor 35, you're gonna be, floor 34 of 35, you're gonna still be able to get a hefty amount of points here, which is a 16,000, which essentially is 8 cold-blooded orb fragments. And again, 8 orbs, you have a chance to get up to 10 Black Knight shards. I like those odds. And then lastly, guys, there's also a leaderboard chart that's actually tied back to the S.W.O.R.D satellite. So you open this one up, and this is going to be based on kind of where you rank in S.W.O.R.D satellite following the conclusion of the event. Again, also rewarding these juicy cold-blooded orb fragments. So it's interesting because usually they don't actually rank you in the top 10,000, but they do here, and the majority of folks are likely going to land in the 5,000, 10,000, 1 to 5%, or 6 to 10%. And even then, we're getting like 7 red to 1 diamond, not Nakias and Black Panthers. And more notably, guys, check this out. Each one giving you more cold-blooded orb fragments. So even at that top 1 to 5%, we're getting 20,000 cold-blooded orb fragments, which is another 10 orbs. So actually for this event right now, everyone's looking at bare minimum 15 to 20 orbs right now. And that's not including the Incursion Campaign Jam Sandwich milestone yet. So I haven't even showed you guys that yet. So this is the event chart here for the cold-blooded orb fragments here and relating to the Jam Sandwich. And as you can see here, you have to spend Incursion Campaign energy. Each time you spend 1, it does equal 5 points. In order to hit the 1600, you do have to do some core refreshers, right? And I do have the math on that in my summary, so it's a little bit easier to discuss. But just be mindful of the fact that this is not a whalestone. If you're spending power cores each day, you're gonna be able to hit this as well. But just be mindful of the fact that from milestone 4 to milestone 8 here, it's milestone points, whereas the first 3 is actually giving you orb fragments. So remember, we care more about the orb fragments because of the fact that they actually give us potential shards of Black Knight, as opposed to the milestone points. If you're trying to hit that 30 extra shard, that's the only reason why we should be pushing higher in the milestone, if you can hit that extra shard. And now, guys, now that I've kind of broken down each and every single component of this event, I can finally show you my summary here. So this is my table right now that I've summarized in terms of the breakdown and the different scenarios that we're going to be taking a look at here, right? So to the left here is my most conservative. You're hitting floor 33. That's going to give you 16,000 points in the S.W.O.R.D. If you're going to likely rank around that 6 to 10% with S.W.O.R.D leaderboards, which gives you another 16,000 points, another 8 orbs essentially. You're not doing core refreshes, thankfully, and that's actually still going to get you 7,000 incursion points. And then as well, there's going to be that 1-day blitz that I mentioned earlier. And if you can get in the 8 rotations, we're just going to be super conservative here. 20 points per win in the blitz is going to get you around 8,000. Again, highlighted in yellow because I like being super conservative, so that way we can know how bad it can be. It probably won't be worse than this. That still gets you 47,000 points with a hefty 20 orbs earned. So mind you, it doesn't get you all 40 of the Black Knight shards, but the reason I like giving you this first scenario is because of the fact that you can see that even with not spending power cores, even with you just hitting floor 33, you're still darn close to that extra 15 shards of Black Knight that we're going to be hitting. So obviously the first scenario is the most conservative because we don't know where everyone ranks. Likely you'd be mid-game and still hitting close to this. The middle situation here is probably the majority of folks watching my video. The majority of folks going to be able to get in the community as well. We still hit floor 33, 16,000. You're going to be ranking top 1 to 5%, which gives you 20,000 extra points. 100 power cores per day. That is very reasonable. That is very fair. It's going to get you enough for an additional 17,500 points in the incursion milestone. And again, we're being super conservative with the blitzing for now. That's still going to net you 61,500 with about roughly 22 orbs earned over that span of a week. So this is going to be my probable game plan, guys, but you know, I obviously always like to see what's an aggressive and competitive standpoint. So I finally pushed my third scenario here, being floor 38. We have 18,000 points maximized from the S.W.O.R.D milestone. We have ranking in the top 10,000, assumingly from the additional S.W.O.R.D points, and then that's going to give you 22,000 extra, right? So if you do the power core refreshes of only 150 per day, it's actually going to get you the full 28,000 incursion points. And again, being super conservative with blitzing, it's still going to get you 76,000, which is well north of milestone 16 and well north of those extra 40 Black Knight shards. Now, why I want to put these different situations out here is because you can see kind of what your play style is going to be, but more more importantly, I want to point out that milestone 18, the very bottom here with the extra 30 shards of Black Knight, it's pretty hard to achieve even if you're coring 150 per day, even if you maximize on the S.W.O.R.D satellite floor 38. And for that reason, I'm probably just going to stick with the middle number 2 scenario because of the fact that honestly, it's just easy and conservative, and we're still going to be able to maximize on Black Knight shards with over 20 orbs. A chance of one of them to drop 10 shards, I'll take that risk any day, right? So the good news, guys, the majority of folks, we're going to be able to unlock Black Knight, no problem. It's more so how hard do you want to go for the whale stone / dolphin stone here, which is the 97,500. And again, my blitz numbers could very well be doubled or triple this. So I'm just being super conservative in the sense that it's 20 points per win. We don't know what these numbers are like, but you know, Scopely has shown us that they can be unpredictable. They can be generous, or they can just be super conservative in their wins too. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But if we know that it's going to be like 40 points or 50 points per, then by all means, milestone 18 could very well be achievable if you're able to clear all S.W.O.R.D, if you're able to rank even higher than the top 10,000 in S.W.O.R.D ranking, and as well if you're maximizing on all the incursion milestones. So, but that's a summary, guys. Overall, I like this Black Knight, a god tier level character, actually free to play, and this event's actually pretty easy. So as long as you stick with the game plan, make sure that you guys know exactly what you're aiming for and which point totals you're going to be refreshing. For example, how many cores, how many milestones do you want to achieve during this event, and how many shards you want to maximize at the end of the day. Hopefully this helps you guys with your game plan. Hopefully this makes more sense now after seeing this all come together. Lastly, don't forget that there is a one-day blitz that we need to take advantage of, and that could be the difference maker of what puts you over. So thank you for your time as always. Do appreciate hearing back from you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.